Hi there, it's Simone. I am going to swatch 4 different ink samples that I recently purchased at Van Ness Pens. And now I'm showing you what happened to my coloring ink swatch book. Oh no, ink disaster. I usually swatch ink samples on 2 different media. One is a 52 GSM Tomoe River paper that you can see the notebook you can see right here. I purchased this from Paper Penguin Co. It is in a personal size, but where you get your paper doesn't really matter. I would suggest if you want to do ink swatches using the paper that you usually use to write on. This will give you the best impression on what the ink will look like on your paper. I'm showing you that I'm trying to be smart about my what are those called? Swap tools. I have decided that instead of cutting them in half before I stick them into the ink, I'm sticking them in, and then when I'm done, I'm just cutting them right underneath so I can use the other side, and the handle basically is bigger. And then the other medium that I use to swatch my inks are these coloring cards that are you can purchase at various different fountain pen and stationery retailers, but they are originally from the Well-Appointed Desk. They also have a shop where you can get it directly from them. I have this one that I purchased from them, and then I just recently stocked up on another one when I also purchased these samples. So the 3 samples that I'm swatching today is Rohrer und Klingner Helianthus, then Pilot Iroshizuku Hotarubi, Callifolio Andrinople. Wow. And then Pelikan brown. I have received the recommendation for the Callifolio ink, I think, from Mrs. Marilyn Darling or Miss Marilyn Darling. I was talking about Sailor Manu Akibi on one of my videos, and then they left several different suggestions in the comments box. And when I recently ordered those samples, I just went through the list of all the samples that I would love to try and added those to my cart that were in stock at Van Ness. When I'm swatching, what I'm doing is I put on a layer of ink, and then I add another one. Especially with the cards, I love to rub it on once all the way down, and then add just in the top portion, add another layer so I can see what these inks look like. And then when I'm writing with the ink, I write the ink brand, the ink name, and then I do some squiggly lines and this twig here. What I like about the leaves is that when I put the basically like that shadow area there, you can see what the ink looks like when it shades. And then I started just recently holding the Kakimori dip nib basically at a 90-degree angle above the page to imitate having a very fine nib, just to see how readable or legible, that's the word, the ink is. Yes, I just recently, I think in August, I purchased the Kakimori brass dip nib, and I really like the versatility of this nib. I used it once for actual journaling, and besides that, I'm using it for swatching the inks. I have no regrets purchasing this nib. It has such a nice variation of line width. It's smooth. It's easy to clean. I wouldn't recommend dropping it, but it's not going to break when it does. You don't have to be as careful as with a glass dip nib, and it definitely works really well for what it is, what it's supposed to be. Of course, this is never a good representation of how the ink will look like in a fountain pen. Most fountain pens don't write this wet. Most fountain pens do not put down write this wet. They don't put down as much ink as I put down with the cotton swab or with the dip nib. This is just giving me an idea. What I noticed, since I have made several swatches in the past 2-3 weeks, and it is noticeable, or an indication of if an ink is wet or dry is when I dip the cotton swab into the ink, and then I put the first layer onto the Tomoe River paper. Does it glide easily? How much ink goes onto the page? Some inks you can dip in the cotton swab and it comes off the cotton super easy. It goes down really nicely on the page. I don't have to add another layer for it to be visible. And some, it feels like I have to dip the cotton swab into the ink multiple times to actually get a proper application of the ink. I'm comparing this to the original that I have right next to me. On my screen, the Pelikan brown appears a lot darker. What I see here is it definitely has more red hues that you can see. All of the inks that I'm swatching are inks that I have picked up, meaning I got the names, the idea that I would like to try this ink through your comments, or other YouTube videos where I see people use these inks, and I think, I wonder what it looks like in a fountain pen, or how it compares to an ink that I already have. I have gotten really into having several of the same color or similar colors and comparing them, because it just I just enjoy that process. So let's look at the first ink that I picked. This is Pilot Iroshizuku Hotarubi. This is a very chartreuse green. I wonder how legible it actually is when it is in a fountain pen. It's a beautiful color as a swab or swatch. I do not have any fountain pen inks that compare even in the slightest. All of the greens or the olivey greens that I own, which were the two that you saw here, are way darker. Even though they're still in the lighter green area, they are not, they don't compare to that ink at all. I want to see how this performs in a fountain pen, but I'm actually inclined to purchase one. So now let's look at the Pelikan brown. It is definitely more brown than Ancient Copper, but that is one of the closer inks. The Spicy Chipotle, which is a collaboration between Sailor and Tintorias, also compares, but both of those inks have a lot more red tones. And then the Writer's Blood, which is a very red maroon wine wine red is probably the best. Bordeaux color description. It doesn't even come close. And then the Vinta Cicatuno Sandugo might be one that comes in. Yeah, I think I sorted them in the way that I think they would compare. I have the suspicion that the Pelikan Brown is one of the drier inks in this in this row, but I don't have any ink that is similar to it. Again, I need to put it in a pen for sure. Then Rohrer and Klingner Helianthus is a very sunflower yellow. The inks that I have found in my personal swatch stash, I don't necessarily have these samples. I don't have the Lamy Mango anymore. It's just not for me. But it is the most yellow ink in these 4 inks that I showed you. I have it in a fountain pen currently, and what I was hoping for a shading ink, but it's actually very flat. If you're interested in what my thoughts are on that ink after I've used it in a pen, come back for the November currently inked video where I'll talk about that a bit more. But these are the inks that I have found that might look Callifolio and Drenopal lookalikes. Again, don't really have any of those. This is very magenta. It's actually very beautiful, to be honest. It does have shading. It is very wet, and I don't usually like having fountain pens with similar colors, but maybe I should make a magenta colored fountain pen ink rotation one day, because it would be really interesting. I have several in this colorway now, and I can't wait to pick my favorite for sure. This is what they look like on the back side, and yeah, I think I'm almost done. Let me know if you have used any of these 4 inks. Which one is your favorite? Which one would you love to try? Always love to talk about inks, you know that. If you would like to support this channel, check out my Ko-fi, where you can leave a one-time donation, or maybe there is a sticker or something that you would like. I do have some things on there. If not, that's fine too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon. Until then, bye.